the matter?
We're live.
Are you serious? Kind of nervous right now.
Yeah.
All right.
You good?
I'm a little nervous. But if we're live, we're live. There's nothing we can do. It's too late now to turn back. Can we just change our mind or no? That'd be awkward. All right. Hey guys, Pitmaster here. I'm here with the doc.
John, good to see you.
Good to see you. We've had there was no UFC this weekend, but a lot of shit happened, and we're going to talk about a lot of it. James went and visited his daughter in Long Beach. There was fights in Long Beach. Just so happened there happened to be fights in Long Beach that weekend. Ramsey fought on that Long Beach card, and I happened to be in LA that weekend, and I didn't even know Ramsey was fighting, and he didn't know I was in LA. It was a great weekend. Ramsey ended up winning. He's an alternate in the $1 million tournament. He ended up winning, beat some Japanese guy. I'm not sure his name, but he won a decision. James got to visit his daughter in Long Beach. She's going to college there.
That was the first time I've seen her since she left. It was nice. I know. It's a bummer. It's like 8 weeks. So for me, that was a long time.
Wow.
So it was good to see her. Good to catch up with her. Just hang out for the weekend and disconnect from everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of disconnecting.
Yeah.
That's good. I got to see Bruce Buffer, and we got to do our a every month or every other month we hang out at the at Bulletproof Coffee Shop, and
Where does he live?
he lives by the airport. I think it's forget it's like overlooking the ocean. It's not I don't think it's something Palos Verdes.
No, Palos Verdes is where we were by Long Beach.
Okay, so that's farther. Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like past Venice, Santa Monica. You're going towards the airport.
Is that Marina Del Rey?
It's like near Marina Del Rey, but it's up on the hill. It's right there by the hill. Yeah, but
So he met you at Bulletproof?
he meets me at Bulletproof because he works out at Gold's Gym in Venice, and I love to go to Bulletproof Coffee when I'm in town. And we always get together and hang out. And last time we hung out for 4 hours just chatting about everything. This time,
Did you get to talk to him? Okay, so I didn't know you met Bruce Buffer there. What can you tell us? So he was the only one in the ring at the end of the last UFC by himself.
He was.
To announce who won
They asked
that
him
fight.
to do that, and that was.
What did he think about them not giving Habib his belt?
He thought it was a good idea because there was a riot brewing, and he thought it would get people even more riled. Even him announcing solo without either fighter got the crowd a little riled. But if there was a fighter in there, the other side would have gone nuts, and he knew that. And they asked him not to, to do it without anyone, and he's never done that before, and he did it really well. I mean, it was a weird predicament. He was like right there. He was like, Khabib was over here, and he was helping him over here, and Conor was over here taking punches, and then he was like.
Was he in the ring during that?
Yeah.
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 So did he have any insight? Any new info, or is he just...
Nah, pretty much it was just a debacle, and it was like a little of it. Just like I think, and I think we both think. I think there's more. I think there's a little more blame on one side than the other, but it was equal. I mean, they were just two hot-headed guys, and they just were going at it. I don't think anyone really thinks it was that big of a deal. If two fighters want to fight, and then I think the big mouth guy on the outside, I heard some stuff like, oh, nobody could even hear him, so how could it have been his fault? I mean, with all that riot going on, how could have Khabib hear him? I've been in the cage when there's some serious yelling and crazy loud noise going on out in the crowd, And when somebody's directing something at you and they're standing right at the cage, you can hear it. And if you couldn't hear it, you can read his lips or whatever. But he knew what he was conveying. I mean, the message was conveyed by that Dallin guy or whatever. Dallin, whatever. And he got what he wanted. I mean, he got Khabib over the cage. So I think he stirred up Khabib. Khabib is the one that went over the cage, so nobody made him do that. It wasn't he was forced to, but he went over the cage to engage with another fighter. So I think Bruce kind of felt like that. Now you should see that jacket he had, that really fancy jacket that some people were putting down on social media, like.
Putting down, he always dresses. I figured he'd dress extra.
He did
extra fancy for that.
Somebody
UFC.
said it looked like, I'm not gonna name who, but some high level MMA guy tweeted that it looked like he must have taken it off his grandma's curtains.
Okay.
I loved what he was wearing, but on the inside of it, which people didn't know and he didn't get to do it, he had this like it was like on the inside of his jacket. There was a picture of Khabib on one side, and it said, Khabib, and the other side was Conor, and it was say Conor. In the back, I don't know why there was anything in the back because nobody could see it, and it had a picture of them, both of them, like squaring off. But what he was gonna do, like when he called the winner, he was gonna lift this one side open. Like if it's Khabib, he would have lifted up and the winner is Khabib, and he would have done that. And if it was Conor, winner Conor, and he would have opened that side. It was really cool.
That would have been cool. Oh,
he didn't get to do it. He didn't get to do it because
that's a letdown.
Too much of just because too much stupidity out there. So
where does the stupidity go from here?
Man, I don't know. I think I don't know. I think if and it's his thing, it's his game. It's it's Dana's thing. I mean, even if we agree or don't agree, if the fighters agree or don't agree, it's Dana's call. It's his. He's the president. I don't know if he takes orders or not from the owners, but as far as I know, he's the last word, and he has the say so. So it's whatever he wants, and this is a free country. It's his thing. You could want to sue him or do this or do that. But unless you have something in writing in a contract, he's going to call his shots. And I don't know what side he's leaning towards. And if Khabib is saying, I don't want, you can't stop my fighter from fighting. I don't know if it says that in his contract, then maybe he's right. Then he can go to court and he'll beat Dana. But if it's not, Dana has the right to say that, And Khabib doesn't have the right, as far as I know. I don't know his contract, but I don't think he has the right to say, if you don't let this guy fight, I'm not going to fight. If he has a contract that has X amount of fights left on it still, I don't think he has that capacity to say that without getting in serious legal trouble. He might not even be able to fight anywhere if he doesn't fight for the UFC. And I'm not saying that, but if the contract says that, and he's just going to be a hothead and say, I'm not going to fight again, he's going to get screwed.
Yeah, but he's making it sound like he doesn't care about the money anyway.
Right, but it's not the money of not fighting. If he's in a contract, contractually, it says you have X amount of fights left with us, then he can't not fight, and he definitely can't fight for another organization.
There's got to be a no compete clause where he can't go fight for somebody else.
And he's already been offered $2 million to fight in Bellator. By who? Was it by? It wasn't by.
Oh, it's their spokesperson, 50 Cent.
No, I thought it was somebody else.
No, that's who it was.
Okay, so 50 Cent, I'm saying it like you're supposed to. 50 Cent told Khabib he'll give him up $2 million to fight for Bellator. I don't think he can get out of that contract, and so that he'd lose more than $2 million in a lawsuit.
Right, I think the whole thing has got blown out of proportion, and
I hope so.
And I don't think Khabib did apologize at first, but he did some stuff wrong. He should apologize for.
Yeah.
And the promotion did stuff wrong. They should not keep doing.
Yeah.
And Conor did stuff. I don't know. Did he do anything at the time of the fight that he shouldn't have done?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think, I mean, as much as I dislike what Conor did on the bus, and I think it was a criminal act, I think he should have been, I think he should be kicked out of the country, not to return. I think just like we don't want to bring in criminals. That was a criminal, violent act. You could say, well, he's just a hothead sticking up for his guys. No, sticking up for his guys isn't throwing dollies into buses that could hurt innocent people that weren't guilty of anything. So with that said, though, just like his fights, he talks a lot, and he always seems okay after. It seems like he does most of that talking to sell the fight. I think he went overboard with the bus, but other than that, most of his stuff, I don't see as that harmful.
Other than the bus.
Yeah,
Right.
except for the bus. That was it.
Well, and then there was a time he jumped out of the cage, too, to square off with Jose Aldo,
Right.
but it didn't come to blows. Or
And
anything.
even if it did, I don't think that's such a big deal either. He jumped over the cage to square off with another fighter. I don't think that's big of a big deal. When he jumped in the cage for Bellator, that was a little bigger deal, but he didn't like shove the ref and get really violent. He kind of it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, it wasn't something that he would have gone to prison with for. I don't think if he did it on the street.
It didn't. I think also some video came out during that fight that Conor, after they broke at the between rounds, Conor basically said, this is just business. Like I'm just talking. It's just business. But Khabib took everything very seriously.
He did.
And took it to heart. Maybe he doesn't know, because anyone watching fighting can see what Conor does. He talks and talks and talks, and then he hugs his opponent after it's over and shows respect.
He does.
I don't think Khabib, I don't know. I don't think he was aware of that or just got blinded by emotion.
I don't know if Conor did. I'm not 100% sure. You guys, if you know more than I do about it, tell me. But it seems like Conor was Conor before this fight, and he didn't do really bad things except for the bus. But it seems like a lot of Conor's people were like yelling like terrible things about family and religion. And most people don't really mind that much about religion being yelled. I mean, but for some reason that keeps getting brought up. Like that really bothered Khabib the most. It was his says something about his dad. Who said anything about his dad? I never heard anything specifically, but I don't know. Some about his dad and some about his religion.
It was mainly about his team, wasn't it? Somebody on his team that was
that's
called
what it was.
Terrorist.
Yeah.
I don't think that was his dad. That was someone on his team that.
That makes me a terrible person. You know how many people I've called terrorists or look like terrorists? I mean, there's so many. God, I can think of so many fighters I love him. He's one of my favorite guys, but Ramsey, when his hair grows out and shit, and his beard grows out, he might resemble
This
a
guy?
terrorist.
Look at him.
That's now. Yeah. He's a handsome terrorist, but
I don't.
But yeah,
think so.
I don't know. Khabib didn't take it. He didn't.
What do you predict? What's going to happen now? Conor's going to fight again. He signed like a 6 or 7 fight deal with the UFC. That was the first one. So I think we'll see Conor again.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope we see Khabib again.
Maybe he'll fight Mayweather or something.
I hope this gets. I hope this gets. Made. I hope everybody makes up. And
Was anyone that's been watching the UFC actually shocked at what happened? Like, everyone says how disgusted they were. So disgusting. Was anyone actually shocked by any of that? I wasn't.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I don't think
it wasn't shocking.
I don't think it got taken to a level of shockingness. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad, and I don't think it was a huge deal. So I hope Khabib fights again and fights soon. I don't think he'll be fighting. I think he'll beat Conor 9 out of 10 times. So I think that's a done deal. But
my hope is we see the Tony Ferguson Khabib fight finally. Yeah. That would be great. Mm-hmm. That'd be something to look forward to.
It would be.
All right, what else is going on? There's some Bellator
We got
fights.
some Bellator fights. We got
There were 2 back to back in the same weekend.
I know.
I didn't watch any of it, so tell me what I missed.
Well, I didn't see Mitrione. I think he got KO'd by
By Bader?
Yeah. I'm pretty
So
sure.
they're
he
in
did.
the heavyweight Grand Prix.
Yeah, and then
On one side of it.
So now it looks like Bader is gonna fight Fedor, because Fedor beat
Chael. So
Chael.
I didn't see this fight. I just read some stuff online that wasn't very complimentary
of what?
of Chael.
What?
So you saw that fight or no?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. So
Here's
I
all I gotta
can't
say.
weigh in, John. I'm relying on you to tell me
Okay, so
what happened.
okay, I think this is just as tips. I think if Chael went for a little more safety, because Chael, let me just tell you, Chael could make 85. I think. I know he makes 205 real easy, but the fact that he's willing to just go out and fight a heavyweight, that speaks volumes. I mean, most guys in the UFC don't jump up that high. I mean, that's just jumping like 30, 40 pounds, weight against him. Now you're fighting a legend like Fedor. Now, Fedor lost a few, but now he's been winning like 6 or 7 in a row. So his his invincibility factor has kind of been coming back, and he's been knocking out a lot of people. So, okay, with that out of the way, it showed a lot for Chael to fight him. But the weight was just too much. I mean, he just got thrown around. He was trying to take him down. He just got kind of thrown around like when a little kid is fighting a man. But then he got him down, and he had him in half guard. And
who was in half guard?
He was
on top.
Chael was on top.
Okay.
And it looked like he could have stayed there for a while. Not doing much damage, but at least holding him down, and maybe even realizing that you could win the fight from that position. Randy Couture used to get a lot of those wins from that position, because it's a stable position. You can't do as much because you don't have control of your hips, and you don't have much distance, and you're having to hold yourself up, but you do have something. But then he decided, for some reason, because he's Chael and he wants to he wanted to finish Fedor. So he, instead of just being content with a half guard like a lot of people would have, he goes for a mount. And as soon as he goes for that mount, you could tell Fedor's just waiting for that, and he explodes. He reverses the position, gets on top, and
is it ground and pound stoppage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
First round?
It was the first round, but it was like at the end of the first round, and Chael just got overpowered. But he just kept coming back and trying and doing it, and Fedor's big, and strong as hell. So Chael didn't win that fight. And then Benson Henderson fought. I don't even know the guy's name. But he looked freaking good, man.
I know there were some quick knockouts in.
Yeah, this one was a decision, but he was a one-sided. It was a really good. I think it's 2. Yeah, it was a really good fight. Benson Henderson fought and Fedor. I didn't see many of the other fights. I just tuned in to watch. Basically, to watch Chael. That's our guy. He was on the show. So yeah, he got beat. But anyway, so I don't know. I think Fedor. I think it seems like Bellator's. I don't know, man. They're getting a little better. Some of their.
Well, I'll tell you what I did see from that fight, and I'll agree with you on that point. Is after the fight, I saw some clip online somewhere that Fedor gave Chael like a tracksuit. So it showed them backstage exchanging gifts, being all cordial to each other. What a difference from a week ago. So I will give Bellator that.
But yeah, that's true. But And Chael is really good at selling fights, and he's really good. Like McGregor. I think he's a little more tame than McGregor. I think he's a little more. He's a little more methodical and a little more. He uses his brain a little more. Cerebral. I don't know if cerebral is the word, but he's just funny when his shit is. I think he's more like Ali than McGregor. McGregor's a little more nasty and he's pretty quick with his wit, but he's not. You can tell his IQ is nowhere near Chael Sonnen's. Chael Sonnen says some funny shit. He said some really funny shit when he was fighting some of his opponents, and he's really fun to listen to, and he usually backs it up. He's not always the most exciting fighter, but he's always there to fight, and he always brings up his skill set, and he gives it his all. So fighting a guy like Fedor, I mean, how many light heavyweights, small light heavyweights for that matter, because Bader's a much bigger light heavy than Chael is, but how many small light heavyweights would fight someone like Fedor? That's I don't know. That was pretty crazy. So kudos to him, and hope he's all right. It looked like he was all right after the fight.
So the next fights they'll be for the championship of that, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So that'll be the next. I don't know when that is, but so that'll be a fight to watch.
So that will be a fight to watch.
So what'd you hear from what Ramsey have to say?
So let me tell you about this weird story. I go down to Venice Beach because we go down there every month or so for just a getaway. It's like a mini vacation with my wife. And just when I'm pulling up to our hotel, I get a text from Ramsey. He's like, "Hey, what's your favorite place to go in Venice?" And I was like, that's random because he didn't even know I was in Venice or Santa Monica. And I didn't know he was in town. I thought he was in Utah. So I wrote him back and I told him, and I said, and it's weird you asked because I'm in Venice right now. And he's like, holy shit, so are we. So we met up with them. They're like a half a mile from where I was. So we met up. It was a place called the Fish Enterprise. It's really a good little restaurant. It's called the Fish Enterprise. It's on Kenny and Main Street. I think it's considered Venice, maybe Santa Monica. I don't know. But we went there and we ate, and he was there with his girlfriend, his brother, and his training partner Nate. And we ate and we had dinner. We hung out. It was so much fun. We were just goofing around and talking and telling jokes. And Ramsey's got such a personality. So we had a great time. And he already had he already has his corner there, and he's already been signed in and everything. And so we decided that I wasn't going to go, do the corner, and I definitely didn't want to go if I wasn't going to work his corner because I went there with my wife, so just to hang out. So we ended up, just parting ways, and then he fought Saturday night and he won, and he's not in the tournament. He was one of the what he calls
alternate.
Yeah. So he's not in the tournament because he lost his last one. So he wasn't in the tournament anymore. But he was an alternate, and they needed him to fill in. So he filled in and won. So that was good. Another kind of interesting thing was that was pretty interesting. Then I went to Bulletproof to have our usual coffee and chat with Bruce Buffer. My wife and I love hanging out with Bruce Buffer. And Bruce Buffer loves hanging out with us, mainly my wife, because he has a lot of women. He has so many women. It's just crazy. But they talk about some of his women issues, and she'll answer some questions for him, and it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny when we're talking. But then some douchey chick comes in to this. It's like a little patio or a little place where we're having our coffee, and she's playing the guitar and singing and asks us for money, and we're like, no. And we're talking, and she starts playing louder and singing louder, and Bruce was like, we're trying to talk here. Can we talk? So she moves and starts playing next to another couple and asked them for money, and they said no. So she goes, well, if you don't give me money, I'll sing louder. So she starts singing louder and playing louder. She looks like she was wearing like fucking couple $100 boots and shit. She was dressed pretty nice. And when the guy goes in and he gets the manager, and the manager comes out and tells her to leave. So she actually physically spit on this guy, the guy that, the patron. So she spits on him, like spits. It actually went on his clothes. And we were just sitting there just thinking, what a despicable piece of shit. And so she leaves. She walks away, and the guy starts yelling at her. And he's like, what can you do? I mean, you can't do anything. I mean, so she left, and that kind of put a damper on everybody who was sitting there. That poor guy had to like wipe off his, clothes. He had food, and they, the Bulletproof place was actually nice enough to bring him more food, a whole new plate, because this stupid, vile piece of shit spit on him. You don't know what a bitch like that has. So it was kind of weird. So we ended up keeping talking and hanging out. We ended up, parting ways, and that was great. And then the next morning I get up, go for a jog with my beautiful wife on the beach. And about 3:30, 4 o'clock, we start heading back to the hotel, and we see some guy kind of lying on the sidewalk with his legs in the road. And it's a fast-moving road. It's called Nielsen Way. It's right there in Venice, and it's like cars are going 50, 60 miles an hour. It's kind of like it's a highway or a thoroughfare, and people are going pretty fast. And this guy has his legs. Cars are beeping, having to go around his legs. So like I go over there. I was like, I moved him. I said, bro, you got to move. He was so drunk. He had no clue where he was. He wasn't being rude or anything. So he tried to move a little, but he was like tried to sit up, and then he was like leaning like he was gonna fall into the road, and he would have been run over in a second. So Heather and I were like, okay, well, we did our part. We start to walk away, and Heather turned around. Heather's a mother, and she turned around and she goes, we can't leave him. This does not look. There's something wrong about this. So I ended up getting him up, moving him away from the road, and I called the cops because I didn't know what to do.
Is a homeless guy?
No, he didn't look homeless. He had a Apple Watch. He had a brand new Apple X10 or whatever. He had a nice. He had nice clothes on, and he had a iPad in his backpack.
I think he was just drunk or drugged.
We didn't know at that point, so we didn't know. But he was out of it, so we called the cops because I just didn't know what to do. I just wanted him taken somewhere and sobered up. So when the cops got there, I just something realized that this guy's not a homeless guy. He probably has a good job, and if the cops take him in, they probably won't just let him sober up. They'll probably book him or arrest him drunken in public or something. And then I thought, I don't want this guy to lose his job, lose his future. I don't know who he is, but I didn't want to do that. And either did my wife. So all of a sudden I told the cop, you know what, man? Can't you just take him to sober up? And the cop said, no, if we take him in, we have to book him. So I said, well, then forget it. I'll just take him. And the cop said, you already called us. It's too late. And I go, no, I'm not going to let him go. I'm going to sober him up because I don't want him to have a record. He might not have a record. So the cop looked at me. He was like, lucky for me, he recognized that I had something to do with fighting. And he like, first thing he looked at me, he was like, okay, I know you're a fight trainer. So what if you were, training a bunch of guys like this? What would you do? And I was like, I'm going to take him. And the cops said, you know what, man? I'll let you. Man, you're a good Samaritan. I said, I'll take him. So my wife and I take him.
And this guy.
I drag him to a coffee shop. It was like the Coffee Bean Coffee Shop on Ashland and Maine. What a good place. They're very good Samaritans too. So I take him in there. He's still drunk as anything. he was telling the cop. The cop asked him, "Where do you live?" He said, "I live about 20 minutes from here." He goes, "Where?" He goes, Mountain View." Mountain View is like 7 hours away, up past San Francisco. He thought he was in San Francisco. He had no clue he was in Santa Monica. So the cop was like, "Well, if you can get him home, if he only lives like 20 minutes from here, why don't you call an Uber for him?" So I was like, that's a good idea. So I look up I was going to use my Uber. It would have cost me like 20, 30 bucks. So I look up my Uber and we put in the address and shit. It would have cost 750 bucks. So I was like, wait a second. I think there's a problem here. So and he couldn't answer any questions. He goes, "No, I live right up there. We're in San Francisco." And the cop goes, "You're drunk." And he goes, as drunk as he is, he still had a sense of humor. He goes, "I do not appreciate you calling me drunk." And he was so drunk, it was funny. But so we walk him to the cop leaves. What a nice guy. I know you're not watching this, but if you are, thank you. So we walk him to the coffee bean. And we give him some water, and he still doesn't. I mean, he has no clue where he is. He has no clue what's going on. But he had enough presence of mind to unlock his phone for me, because I said, "Unlock your phone. I want to look who your contacts are." And he unlocked it and gave it to me and went back to sleep. But anyway, before we went there, he had to go puke. So he went by a dumpster. He didn't puke, but he fell asleep. So my wife and I thought, okay, he fell asleep. He'll sleep it off. He'll be fine. Whew, because we've been in this. We have like 2 hours invested by now. And my wife and I let him sleep it off. So we start walking away. We saw a couple of like homeless predatory type people that looked like they weren't too nice. And I looked at my wife, and we had the exact same idea. We were like, we cannot leave him here. He's too vulnerable. And somebody's going to steal his watch, his iPhone. They might just beat the shit out of him. So we said, we can't do this. So we walked back to the dumpster, and then we picked him up, and we brought him to the coffee shop. I went through his phone. I found a number that had the same last name. So I called it, and some girl answered the phone, and I said, "Hey, do you know who so-and-so is?" And she goes, "Yeah, that's my brother." I go, "Okay, well, I'm in Santa Monica right now, and he's very, very drunk. He can't take care of himself. Do you have anyone that can pick him up? Because if not, I got to take him back to our motel, and he's going to have to sleep it off on our couch. And that's going to really dampen my romantic evening with my wife, because we have big plans when we get back to that room, let me tell you." Too much info? But anyway, so she's, oh my God, are you serious? Thank you so much. I'm going to be right there. I go, "When you say right here, where are you coming from?" And she's like, "Irvine." I was like, "That's not right there. It's going to take you like an hour or two." She goes, "I'm on my way." So 4 hours later, we've been dealing with this guy. Such a nice guy. He was nothing but respectful. So drunk, but he was funny the whole time. And they came to pick him up, and they were so grateful that we did that. You could tell they were such a good family. This guy has a great job up in Silicon Valley, and the mom was telling me about it, and just how nice it was. She can't believe I would do something like that, and there are people like that in the world, and thank you so much. And she was and my wife and I were so, it was so emotional. It was really emotional because we both have kids, and we were just hoping that somebody would do that for one of our kids if something like that happened. And we were so happy that we were able to help this guy, and his family was so nice. So when we get home, we get a call. They already looked us up, and they've already Googled me, and now they know where we live, his family. She's already called ahead and got me a gift certificate for Ember.
Oh, nice.
Because she realized, I guess she called Rio Grande and just said, like, or Googled what's the nicest restaurant. Because Ember is like the nicest, most expensive restaurant in town. So she already Googled that and got me a gift certificate. And she called me me and my wife 3 times last night, just apologizing over and over and telling us how grateful she was. And it was just unbelievable. So he's back home now in Silicon Valley. He flew back home. What happened was he flew into L.A. from Silicon Valley, and or up near San Francisco to spend some time with his mom and his dad, who's just turning 70. And
So what happened?
And he met with an old friend who wasn't much of a friend. We all realize that now. But I guess she encouraged him to have a shot of tequila, which he was not much of a drinker. He's a lightweight. And I guess after the shot, he felt kind of woozy, but then he took another shot because he didn't think it would do much. He doesn't remember anything after that. I talked to someone from the bar he was in. I guess he had another like 2 or 3 shots. And they said he just left. And the person he was with, that piece of shit person he was with, just took an Uber and went home by herself and didn't even think of him. Left him out. I mean, out cold. I mean, this guy was out. When I first met him, got him, he didn't even know where. Can you imagine not knowing where you are? I can't imagine not knowing where you are. Thinking you're in a completely different city. He could have easily stepped into the road. He could have easily got his legs run over. He could have easily fell asleep and been mugged and then wake up and then have somebody one of these guys just beat the shit out of him. So many bad things could have happened. And my wife and I were so emotional that we could help him. And I'm not really that nice of a guy. I'm really not.
I would have really expected this story if it turned out this way. It would have been an animal. Because John's known for
saving animals.
John's known for
running in the highway,
out of moving cars because
freeways.
There's a dog in the road, including on the 101 freeway, which is our biggest road in town.
We saw a dog once running in the freeway, and the cars were beeping, and we were going the opposite way. And I had my wife pull onto the shoulder. I jumped out of the car, jumped over the pile, the middle. The cement.
The divider, yeah.
The divider. I jumped over, ran into the road while cars were like, and got this. Oh, I didn't get the dog. But the dog kept running, and I guess the dog ran. They finally caught it, but
I think we were meeting you sometime at dinner, and we were driving separately, and we see your car pull over, and then you're running in the road trying to get a dog. I think it was on Grand, but trying to get a dog. So this story would have made sense to me if it was an animal. But I can tell you, working in Los Angeles and working at LA County Hospital, the number of people drunk that get their legs run over because they're laying in the street, I've seen that multiple times, or just robbed or beaten senseless, and then they all end up in the emergency room drunk. They don't know how they got there, broken legs or broken whatever from being beat up. So I'm sure you saved that guy, and you saved some poor orthopedic intern somewhere from being up all night working on that guy.
Yeah.
But more importantly, that guy that would be, in rehab for who knows how long.
And I'm really happy that he didn't just get scooped up and taken into the system and get written up.
That would have been all right, but him getting run over and his legs run over.
Because he had a job. I'm not going to talk about his job because his anonymity.
You're close. It was close.
But anyway, I don't know. An arrest might not look good. Like if he's climbing the top, I don't know. But it would have been much worse if he got run over or somebody just beat the living shit out of him and stole his really expensive stuff. And what a nice family. What a class. I mean, just what a decent group. And it's like you could help someone. I love to help animals, and I don't usually help that many people. Let's just, help them get a world title or something, but, or get in shape. But this guy was definitely worth helping, and his family. And
it's rare for you to travel and not come back with some sort of human interaction. I went in out of town. I interacted with my family, and most importantly, my daughter, who I hadn't seen in a while. John always travels out of town and is interacting with humanity.
It's weird. It is weird.
Every trip. And
my wife.
So if you come back without a story, I'm going to be disappointed next time you leave town.
Oh, believe me, I won't. But my wife, who's more of she's most quieter than I am, and she's not as outgoing. But she was all over this, and she really took instead of letting me take the lead, like when I was gonna walk away from him, she grabbed me and she said something isn't right here. We got to help this guy. And I was like, really? Okay. And she was in all the way. She wasn't like saying, come on, let's go. This is my vacation. She was really into helping this guy.
That's a cool
story.
That was
a good story. So
good story.
That's all we got. But we're gonna go teach now, and I'm gonna go teach. He's gonna go train. We got some UFCs coming up. We got some good shit coming up. But if you guys have any,
You know
questions,
what is coming up?
What's coming up?
Is Derek Lewis is fighting already again. I think we talked about it last time. He's fighting Daniel Cormier.
DC.
Apparently, he said he's making quite a bit of money to fight DC. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. My money's on DC. We'll see.
Yeah, and
Just if it goes any distance.
I don't know DC. I don't know. I know DC, but I don't know Derek Lewis. And he could be, the whatever. Could be a douchebag. But he comes across and he seems like such a fucking down-to-earth, transparent, decent guy. He just seems like that.
Yeah, I agree.
He just seems like a decent...
And if he catches DC with his right hand...
please, DC. Keep that hand
hope,
up.
yeah, jeez. Don't... I hope DC does not get hit with that right hand, that truck.
Keep this drilled like this. Just keep this right here. You can do whatever you want with your right, but keep your left hand in your chin tucked. You should be in that fight like this. Man, just don't even get a takedown. Forget using your left hand, because the second it drops here, if something lands here, please.
And he'll try it, as we saw. He'll do it over until he gets it. He just does it over and over. I'm scared for DC from that right hand, but
I am too.
Other than that, it'll be interesting.
But DC is such a high level. DC is like the highest level athlete there is.
This is right after Derek Lewis saying, "I don't deserve a title fight."
I got no gas tank. I don't deserve a title, but he's getting one, and he does deserve it. So. We need more DC. We need more. And the way they interact with each other is so refreshing. We need more DC and Derek Lewis.
Oh, yeah. These
guys,
right, exactly. They're going to be respectful at press conferences.
All the way. And that's what we need. More of that, less of the fucking douchiness.
So, speaking of that, I listened to this guy. I never really knew much about him, but Jocko Willink was on a podcast, and he talked about his book, which you've probably read. I want to read. It's called Extreme Ownership.
I have it.
And owning when anything goes wrong. And you can look at an example like the president of the UFC. Everything goes wrong. He didn't own any of it. When you're the top of a corporation or the top of your business, even if you only have 3 employees, the buck stops with you. And it was just an interesting perspective to hear that guy talk about, because he comes from a military background. He's
a Navy SEAL. He has one of the most successful podcasts. He wrote a really successful book. He's been on Joe Rogan a few times.
I'm going to check out his podcast. Yeah. Anyway, but that idea of extreme ownership and how it applies not just to the military, but to running a business, I think most fans would have loved to have seen the president of that corporation take some responsibility, even if it's not your fault. Not just to pass the buck and blame everybody else. The world's got enough of that.
Like John Maxwell says, when something goes wrong in your sphere, you should always look in the mirror, and it's your fault. And when something goes right, look out the window, and it's other people that did it. And people that like that, you'll hear people that lose a fight, and the first thing they'll say is, so and so. But then there's that person that'll lose a fight, say, I fucked up. And when some people win a fight, yeah. And then there's certain guys like, I want my coach and my training partners and my this. Some people like to give the credit out and don't take the blame. And some people are the opposite. And it's so refreshing when people that actually did it and do great, and they give all the credit to other people. And then when something goes wrong, even if it wasn't their fault, they take all the blame. And that's what that book's about.
And those are successful people.
Yeah, like Jocko. Jocko was a freaking... He's a war hero. He's a Navy SEAL war hero.
I got to check out his podcast. I just heard it for an hour, but he sounded fascinating.
Share our podcast, because everybody should watch it and listen.
All right. Till next time, man.
All right, man. Thanks.
Good to see you.